In the high-stakes world of MasterChef, where culinary prowess meets intense competition, every season showcases a diverse array of chefs, from the brilliant to the bewilderingly ignorant. While some contestants dazzle with their culinary finesse and creative flair, others stumble clumsily through challenges, showcasing a remarkable blend of passion and ignorance. These ignorant chefs often become unforgettable characters, their missteps and peculiarities adding a unique flavor to the MasterChef experience. Let's delve into the realm of the most fascinatingly ignorant chefs to have ever graced the MasterChef kitchen. Tyler on MasterChef Season 5. Tyler Vyers is a contestant on MasterChef Season 5, or in other words, known as the contestant who for the first time in MasterChef history tried to cheat by using another contestant's dish. Talk about crazy. In Episode 6 of Season 5, contestants were tasked with recreating the dishes of two past winners of MasterChef, one of them named Luca Monfey and the other winner of MasterChef Jr. named Alexander Weiss, who is 14 now and made a restaurant-worthy dish while I'm still out here struggling in the kitchen. Talk about skill. Most contestants found Alexander's dish to be easier, while the others preferred Luca's dish. A contestant, Jamie, was at the final step as she put her panna cotta into the refrigerator to cool. Later on, she opened up the fridge to remove her dish, only to realize one plate of her food is missing. She wondered if someone took it by accident, but there was no time to think about that. Her other two plated didn't come out properly. As a result, she got some backlash from the judges, even though they mentioned it tasted good and had nice flavors. Given the situation, the only way she could stand a chance is if someone messed up more than she had done, which seemed almost impossible at that point, until it was time for Tyler Vyers to submit his dish. His dish looked exactly like Jamie's dish, which had people buzzing with questions. But it's not like two contestants hadn't cooked identical platters before. But Tyler's dish had the exact same mistakes the judges criticized Jamie about. That could only mean one thing, that Tyler stole Jamie's dish. Most people believe Tyler did it to try and get an edge over his opponents by stealing their dish, while others believed it was a genuine mistake. Chef Ramsay decided to cut him some slack and let him stay, but the other two judges had some things to say after. So while deliberating, the judges decided to let him go, and Tyler's MasterChef journey ended there. Mark Ingram on MasterChef Season 9. These people might be a little older, but they can't cook like me. Those were the words of Mark when he appeared on MasterChef, and for someone as young as him, he was overly confident. Look, there's a difference between being confident and overconfident, and this contestant didn't fit into the right one. Mark believed he would nail every dish in the competition, but he had no idea what was coming for him. He continued to be arrogant and cocky about his cooking skills, and Judge Joe seemed to like his attitude. Anyways, despite all the boasting, his dish wasn't even good, talk less about decent, and the lamb meat he cooked, Gordon Ramsay claimed it was undercooked, but Mark tried to pass it on as decent, which got on Chef Ramsay's nerves, which hurt Mark's fragile ego. Furthermore, it was time to hand out aprons, and Mark missed the cut by a mile, and actions gave away his immaturity. The judges asked him to improve his skills and come back next year, but Judge Joe had something completely different to say. Joe recognized the talent he had and offered to coach him, but on condition that Mark would listen to him and compete with him. But if he broke the deal, the consequences would be severe. And as we would expect, Mark readily accepted the offer and got handed his apron. He managed to clean up his act after Judge Joe made a deal with him to humble himself and be willing to listen in order to make it to the finale. At first, known for his brash and overconfident demeanor, he quickly became a polarizing figure in the MasterChef kitchen. Joe's intervention proved pivotal as he toned down his cockiness and focused on improving his cooking skills, earning him respect among his peers and transforming him into a strong contender. Mark Tongi on MasterChef Episode 3, Season 8. Yet another cocky contestant named Mark. Meet Mark Tongi, arguably one of the worst chefs of that season. After the Mystery Box Challenge, Gordon Ramsay called out 3 contestants whose dishes stood out the most, and he called them out Sam, Heather, and Mark. Mark was over the roof and excited. Nevertheless, Gordon Ramsay revealed a shocking revelation that their dishes stood out the most for all the wrong reasons. Who would have thought? And revealed they were the bottom 3 and the judges were disappointed with their performances. Everything about Mark's dish was just off. Instead of accepting his mistakes, he started making excuses like most people do, but Chef Ramsay had no patience for people who make excuses, while Chef Christina found the whole meal utterly disappointing. However, Mark found himself in the elimination round, and instead of the cocky man to work quickly to impress the judges, he decided to take his sweet time. And while Gordon Ramsay was giving words of wisdom to Heather, Mark told her to just copy what he does and ignore the judges. Like, seriously? Who does this guy think he is? And those statements Mark made pissed Gordon Ramsay, and they stated that Mark should get serious or take his apron off. And that wasn't a threat, it was an ultimatum. And with only 2 minutes left, Mark wasn't getting any more respectful. Anyways, fast forward to the tasting, and Mark was confident about his dish, but the famous chef was nowhere near matching his energy. With a dish like that and his attitude, Mark had it coming by failing to improve on his previous dish and a disrespectful attitude. He was portrayed as someone who seemed indifferent to winning, displaying a remarkable denial about his consistently poor performances throughout the competition. Even after being eliminated, he showed no passion, talent, or drive to fight back. His lack of skill in the kitchen was painfully evident as he often cooked with minimal effort, failing to deliver even a single acceptable dish to the judges. Despite Ramsay's attempts to rally him and urge him to refocus, his lackadaisical attitude proved insurmountable. His apathy and lack of improvement disappointed not only the judges, but also his fellow competitors, particularly earning the disdain of contestants like Ebony Henry. His elimination from the competition made him one of the most disliked contestants to ever grace the MasterChef stage. His journey on the show highlighted the stark contrast between those driven by passion and determination and those who failed to harness their potential. His inability to acknowledge his shortcomings and his disinterest in competing at his best made him a memorable loser in the MasterChef universe. Jeff Philbin on MasterChef Season 8. It seems like Season 8 of MasterChef contains a lot of interesting personalities. Jeff was hot-headed, temperamental, combative, and always gave excuses for his constant and careless mistakes. Do note, he was extremely arrogant and had a massive ego, along with constant negative energy while competing. Let's dive in. The judges threw an interesting curveball at the contestants, and instead of them cooking their individual dishes, they were paired in teams of 2, which means it all came down to working with communication, collaboration, and self-control. Now, having won the Mystery Box Challenge, Bowen was tasked with putting all the contestants in pairs, and guess who Jeff ended up with? Caitlin. Later on, the contestants were tasked to prepare an amazing Mexican platter. If the test wasn't hard enough, Chef Christina then dropped a nuke that shook things, and she said that the food should be cooked by the 2 people together, and when the judges shout switch, the contestants must switch positions and finish off whatever his or her teammate was doing. The pressure was insane, and some teams started to crumble. Jeff and Caitlin were struggling to get a grip of their situation, although they were off to a great start, but they started to face challenges that they never imagined. If you ask me, I think Jeff was throwing unnecessary dominance into the mix and tried to control Caitlin's every move. Someone really needs to teach him the concept of teamwork and cooperation. Things were so obvious that Chef Ramsay noticed the obvious power struggle and pointed out how controlling Jeff was, and don't be surprised, this is also the same guy who argued with Gordon Ramsay every chance he got and tried to assert his dominance to wherever, whenever, and whoever he could. Well, Chef Christina had a different take. She said Caitlin wasn't strong enough to stand her ground, and well, in a way, both of them were at fault. One for being too submissive, and the other for being too assertive. It was painful to watch Jeff acting like the boss, especially since he doesn't deserve that kind of respect. He completely ignored Caitlin's presence and went ahead of his own. In his desperate attempt to make everything perfect, he forgot the main goal of the challenge: teamwork. Chef Aaron even came up to their station and told Caitlin that she needs to communicate better in order to work things out. But even then, Jeff's attitude towards Caitlin was outright cold, and Jeff mentioned Caitlin didn't bring a lot to the table. I believe that's because he didn't even give her a chance. First thing first, Gordon Ramsay made it clear that their inability to work together and communicate was frustrating to watch. And when he asked the pair what they would rate their platter, while Caitlin said a 3 or 4 at best, Jeff went the other direction and said a 7 or even an 8. Then when it came to tasting, it all came crashing down. Gordon mentioned that their lamb looked like dog food and didn't even bother to look at the taco, even spit out the churros, and to deepen the wound, Gordon said the only thing he liked is the plate they served the food on. When it was time to decide who went home, I think the results are pretty obvious. No, it wasn't Jeff. It was Caitlin, for letting Jeff walk all over her. As Caitlin walked out, she left a very important lesson to always stand your ground and not let anyone walk all over you.